Hello team, welcome back to another Line War cast. This is your map today. This is a game from the Line War T1 2023 tournament. This is from Group A. In blue, Animorph, and in red, El Mexican. Mexican's going to spawn on the bottom right, probably, and that's exactly what happens, and Animorph spawns in the center. We're running the game on 1.5 times speed. Let me know how you like it. Usually we just run it at 1 time speed. We got some feedback that we can add a little bit to it. And it'll speed up the gameplay a little bit. 2 factory tank and an airport with a barracks out of Mexican. Factory and 3 barracks with an industry for Animorph and an airport for blue also. Both players have a refinery relatively close to them, so gas shouldn't be an issue in this game. They'll both have the energy security to at least open the game up properly. And Sam's from Animorph, who's got a helicopter on this airport. Not sure what Mexican's going for out of the airport at this point, but it is 2 tanks. That'll be the first units out of the factories, and here comes Mexican's gas to power these tanks. As for the map setup, Animorph had a little bit of an advantage probably just because they are spawning in the middle of the map, which is generally... It opens up more economic opportunities to expand around the rest of the map, whereas Mexican really has to go to the north, otherwise they have to go through blue. First 2 tanks are done for red, 2 more tanks on the way. Mexican begins to go for more farms to the right-hand side. And it's still Sam Helicopter from Animorph who has their first refinery about to finish. This is that blue move command that Mexican's using around the southern part of the map here to head towards this gas. Both players probably know where the other one spawned. This is Animorph's vision. The tank shows up. So blue will start grouping some of the infantry at home. It's only 2 tanks, so it's not like there's a ton of tanks to overwhelm this. And with the help of the helicopters, it should be a solid hold for blue. Mexican's adding some more barracks to the mix. And these tanks are going to unfortunately get nothing done for Mexican. And so they back up, which is a good call. Red doesn't even lose 1 tank, which is great. Now that blue knows that red has spawned on the other side of this mountain range and are a little bit boxed in, if Animorph can hold this mountain range and make sure that Mexican is confined to the bottom right side of the map, it should be a relatively, I don't want to say easy win by any means, but this game could go south very quickly for red if they can't bust out of this position. 2 SAMs on the way now for Mexican in reaction to those helicopters that Animorph put down. And 1 capping crew for Mexican on the right-hand side. Here come these helicopters. The SAMs aren't done yet. And the tanks, one thing is they're going to move very slowly through this mountain range, which will allow these helicopters to destroy them probably if they don't get out of here pretty quickly. And so far, good control for both players. I don't think... I mean, neither... Like, there's no tanks that have gone down, which is actually pretty impressive with 2 helicopters flying around. It's a 4th SAM on the way for blue. We might see Animorph start switching away from SAMs after this 4th SAM is completed. Or just continue to go for more SAMs and get a full dot of them. First SAM is in play for Mexican now on top of the helicopters. It's a great forest for these SAMs to be in because of that stealth bonus. This is Animorph's vision of the area. With all this infantry, the SAMs won't actually get any stealth because of all the detection that blue has accumulated with this many units. And this is a stressful point of the game for red probably. A little bit of a push from blue. The tanks are out here in defense. There's the first interceptor for red to help out with these helicopters. It'll become a question of whether blue positions the SAMs where they're positioned and whether they can shut down these interceptors, which are very fragile if they're running around with SAMs underneath them. So it is an artillery piece from blue after that 4th SAM finishes. Mexican goes back to tanks after they get 4 SAMs, which seems to be about the magic number. A little bit of unfortunate RNG for this red interceptor since it turned to the inside as opposed to the south. But 1 helicopter goes down for... Well, 2 of the helicopters go down for Animorph, who shuts down this commando run by for Mexican, which is a great play considering the circumstances. 2 towns on the way for Animorph, and some industry for Mohican, but it's not really going to matter if they lose this fight. Commandos can't get anything done. Still 3 helicopters in reserve for Mohican. But with these 4 SAMs in a perfect position, unless these tanks can get on top of them and clear them, these helicopters are in trouble. So they're going to go to the north, probably going to try to loop around a little bit. Animorph adds another factory to the mix. And the tanks are now fighting directly in the mountain range. More barracks for Mohican, who's going on 5 barracks at this point. Animorph puts down another barracks, so it's going to be 5 barracks for red and 4 barracks for blue. And another good helicopter pickoff for Mohican, who now actually has the helicopter number advantage. And is building another interceptor. Very tough situation for red, though, because blue has now taken this mountain range. There's no sneaky expansion going on for Mohican, still sort of stuck in this corner a little bit. And these artillery pieces for blue are going to come in clutch because it's really only infantry and tanks beside these SAMs. And the artillery is obviously going to do a great job against the infantry, since they counter them like that. Mohican goes in for a raid, probably hoping and expecting the Animorph has those farms, but unfortunately for red, blue does not have those farms yet. Still going for these run-bys. If Mohican gets a little bit lucky and takes out this commando, then these 2 commandos for red could do some damage. And this is a little bit the moment of truth here. Let's see what these 3 tanks for red can do against the SAMs and the artillery for Animorph, who puts down another barracks to the left of the shot here. And it's going to be a little bit close, but the tanks will move quite slowly through the mountain range. Great positioning of SAMs by Mohican, so make sure that all these helicopters for Animorph can't join the fight. Although they are doing a great job shutting down that commando run-by. And now the tanks for red are on top of the blue artillery. But the question is whether they're going to be able to clear them quick enough. And eco-wise, which is important, 764 for blue and 668 for red. Here come these 4 helicopters. The SAM numbers have cleared out enough for Mohican that they can kind of launch these helicopters at the main fight. There's only 1 SAM in the mix here for blue. And another barracks for Mohican. Red SAM's doing their best to take out the helicopters. They might get 1 more, but they unfortunately do not. Mohican's going to target this refinery with the helicopters, which I think is a great call. Does Animorph even have a second refinery at the moment? No. So when red takes out this refinery, all the blue helicopters, of which there's only 1 left at this point, they're not going to be able to move. But we saw how much capping Animorph's done on the left-hand side of the map. If we take a zoom out, clearly blue has more territory. And the last time we checked ecos, they have more economy, which is a big deal. But so is this helicopter advantage and this little window of opportunity that red has created by sniping this refinery. Doesn't look like Animorph's going to put down this refinery again. I wonder if there's somewhere else on the map that blue is taking, or Animorph's just decided to stop using gas units entirely. 2 interceptors for Mohican are going to be able to snipe this helicopter when it's on the ground. At this point, red has some artillery pieces in the fight as well, and this is turning a little bit in Mohican's favor. 3 blue commandos are posted up here to continuously shut down any of these red commando run-bys. And that tank got caught on the wrong side of the mountain range. And the SAM numbers for blue sort of growing at this point. The 4th SAM is about to pop. And so Mohican's going to have to be careful about how they use these helicopters. There's another one on the airport and a 3rd interceptor on the way. Let's just take a look again on the map. And check the eco. 668 for Mohican, 844 for blue. So Animorph really kind of, pardon me, running away with this one on the eco front. And if blue can defend this push from red, they will probably start to just win the game based on the economic imbalance. Animorph does put down this refinery again. to get these helicopters moving. Only one helicopter really will make it to target. I guess both of them actually do get by. These SAMs don't clear it out. And the helicopter's DPS, when they're hovering over a target, you really see how much damage they can do because that refinery is on fire. Blue helicopters working on these artillery pieces in the defensive line. The two blue SAMs clear out Mohican's helicopters on their way back to base. And now red jumps these tanks on the helicopter, or on the SAMs for blue. It's a really good defensive position for Mohican, but there's a lot of blue units here that might be able to slowly just counter push, because we're looking at 6 barracks for red against whatever this is, almost 8 barracks for blue, and 3 factories for each player. Interceptors get one of the helicopters. Artillery numbers for Animorph are starting to get pretty scary. And only one of these interceptors gets home. There's still 3 SAMs for Mohican. About to be 2 SAMs now that this one on the north gets sniped there. And a combination of SAMs and artillery out of Animorph. And more tanks and SAMs for Mohican, who will likely find it difficult to defend this mountain range. Especially over time. We can check the ecos. 900 for blue, 750 for red. Animorph's got to the north of this part of the map. And there's a port on the way. There is a trade route that Animorph could get once they get up to the top left. I'm not sure if that's going to come into play in this game, because really this is just a huge fight over this very central geographic feature, which is the mountain range. One of the coolest things about Line War is how much the geography of the maps come into play. And very slowly, this is going to be a terrifying counter push from blue. Mohican's gonna dig in near the base of the mountain. When the dig-in happens this far back in the mountains, it's actually really good because all these units for blue take a longer time to move through the mountains, which allows the red artillery to get more shots off. Unfortunately, the blue units are pretty much right on top of these artillery pieces before they can really get deployed and get off any meaningful number of shots. And now with 6 SAMs here for blue, that's definitely enough to shut down whatever remaining air force that Mohican has, who puts down a town to try to combat like the economic disadvantage that they have right now. And once Animorph gets out of this mountain range, all the units are going to speed up. And really, I think the best case scenario for Mohican is to dig in on their own base, but more broadly speaking, digging in on your own base isn't going to help with the economy situation since your units aren't capping anymore. Mohican knows that. And this is the last defense for red. There's 4 helicopters for Animorph heading up to the northern part of this front line. There's no SAMs over there. Mohican's racing the SAMs over to get there in time. But great control from Animorph to pull those helicopters back before the SAMs get there after getting off a few shots on the artillery pieces. And this is a very wide front line in which blue has the advantage both on unit numbers and I think a little bit just on the positioning on how wide this concave is. We can check the eco again. 800 for Mohican and 1036 for Animorph, who puts down a very aggressive factory at the base of the mountain, which makes it feel like blue knows that they're gonna go for the kill at this point. And at this point, I think we can get rid of the lines. I'm going to be messing around with showing the commands, not showing the commands, showing these little white lines that show where units are picking up their commands and where they're going. So bear with me. Keep leaving feedback. I appreciate folks when you're in the comments. When I ask about, you know, how do you want to watch the game? Do you want commands on? Do you like the speed of the replay? The whole thing. Very appreciated. And this front line crumbles for red. And now Animorph will slowly push into Mohican's base. and end the game. GG, well played. That's the game from Group A in the tournament that's going on right now. All these players who made it, very good. This is great line war content. We'll keep casting these things. Hope you have a wonderful night, day, evening, whatever it is. Enjoy. Peace.